Hello everyone, today I will talk about a 1999 film called My Teacher's Wife. Todd Boomer is a high school graduate from Outport, along with his girlfriend Kirsten and a friend Paul. They are hiding envelopes with the results of the entrance exams to Boston University. Although all three of them successfully passed the exams, mathematics teacher Roy Miller refuses to sign Todd's reference for admission to Harvard because of a failed test. Sitting on the shore of a pond, he draws cartoons. The guy hears a scream on the other shore, which scares him, for which Vicky asks for forgiveness. She sometimes wants to scream so much that she cannot hold back her emotions. He thinks this is quite normal and also starts screaming, but the girl has already disappeared. In the evening, the friends go to a party with one of their classmates, while the floor is trying to glue the girls together. Kirsten invites someone to take a walk to the park, where everyone sits on a bench, and covered with a blanket, the couple begins to kiss, but noticing that in the elastic band, Kirsten is offended by the guy. After all, she didn't ask him here for that. At this time Paul is trying to hide from the annoying nun. Having noticed Todd driving a car, Paul jumps into it and asks him to get out of this place as quickly as possible. On the road, the guys meet Vicky, who is standing on the side of the road next to a broken car. Approaching to the guys, Vicky recognizes Todd, whom she scared with her scream on the lake. The guys take the girl with them, offering their help, and Paul tries to give Vicky a compliment, saying that she has a very cool car. Only the car belongs to the girl's husband, which she tells the guys about. Being angry that he didn't have enough, they are smart enough to put a spare tire in the trunk. The trio stops at a diner, from where Vicky calls a tow truck. It will only arrive in an hour, so the guys treat the girl to ice cream while leaving the cafe. Vicky pays for themselves and for the guys, to which he asks to leave Tim to pay at least for the tip. The girl quickly recalculates everything in her head and names the amount and then says that this is all the merit of the mathematics department. Heading to Vicky's car, he talks about his problems with mathematics, and now will be destroyed if he cannot transfer control over the girl. Is sure that everything will work out for him by bringing Vicky to her car. The guy persuades the girl to study with mathematical analysis. This will save his future life. The eyelids promise to think if she calls Todd. The girl returns home where her husband Roy Miller is already waiting for her, the same math teacher who failed Todd's test. The same guy is met at home by his father Jack, disappointed that they spent so much time and effort for him to enter Harvard, and the guy couldn't even pass the school test. Having heard from his son that he needs a tutor, the father promises to help with his search, but he admits that he has already found a tutor, which makes the father proud of his son. He comes to the very lake where met Vicky for the first time. A girl appears, starting to stretch her dress, saying that the answers to all questions are somewhere on her body. Some man with a gun in his hands appears from behind, shouts that it's his wife. Thank God it was just a dream. During lunch break, shares the good news with the floor. Vicky still called him in chemistry class. Kirsten asks the guy for forgiveness for that night in the park. She freaked out a little. She needs just a little time and he will be able to get what he wanted. After school, Vicky comes to the guy's house. The guy's parents are leaving. The boy tells the next day to Paul, whom he helps with moving from his parents' house to a house in the yard. Even though they only studied Vicky with mathematics, the guy still wanted to at the end smoke a cigar. Classes with Vicky are not in vain. She bears fruit about this. He tells the girl, inviting her to the next class tonight, only after talking to Vicky on the phone. The guy meets with Kirsten so that the girl doesn't get jealous. He deceives that his tutor is a fat elderly woman who drooling constantly. Kirsten asks not to forget that today they are having a traditional dinner with friends, at which he will not be able to come, because of classes with a tutor, but promises to come up with something. While the guy is studying with Vicky, the diner will come to the floor. At least Todd will come with them. No, not maybe a girl leaves her friend all alone. After a while, the one with Vicky arrives at the diner, who agreed to let the guy down after class. Realizing that he was deceiving her about the appearance of the tutor, Kirsten leaves the diner, offended by the guy. He is dating Paul, who is trying to find out if he told him something. Kirsten on it. Yes, he did something bad to the girl, that he deceived her, but Vicky, this is something he leaves from. After a while, Kirsten approaches the floor, asking if he said anything about her. That girl believes that Paul knows everything, but is covering for his friend only by according to the guy. Kirsten is also his friend, what brings a smile to a girl's face. In a math lesson, Roy Miller draws a problem on the board and asks the solution to Todd, who calmly gives the correct answer. The teacher is surprised, so he says that the recommendation from there for admission to the university already looks much better. The guy talks about this. Vicky shares her successes, and then invites the girl to the next lesson. In response to this, Vicky asks Todd to come and visit her. She wants to show him her sculptures. No, not the sculptures you were thinking about. He comes quickly. The girl shows him her masterpieces, which the guy saw. Doesn't understand why she keeps everything in the garage, and doesn't show anything to anyone. Vicky believes that everyone will take her for crazy. At least her husband is of this opinion. The girl admits that she and her husband don't really get along. Therefore, She enjoys the company of Todd, for whom Vicky has a gift seeing what the girl did with her own hands. Someone thanks her for the gift and kisses her lips in surprise. The girl is lost, but does not allow the guy to do it again. They move into the house, where Vicky begins to flirt with the guy, and then they finally kiss. They climb on top of the guy and taking off the dress, shows its sculptures, but no, after all, those whom you thought about it, someone tells his friend Paul, whom he arrives in the middle of the night. Having finished studying on the face of Paul, there is no particular joy, so the guy thinks that his friend is just jealous of him. He goes home and Paul opens his door closet, whereas Kirsten at this time, who heard their entire conversation at school lunch. The guy only told Paul, so he believes that it was he who told the girl everything. But Paul admits that Kirsten was in his closet. When he was telling about his classes with Vicky, he is angry with his friend and believes that he did not specifically warn him since he likes Kirsten. Their swearing stops them Roy Miller, who, as punishment, forces the guys to look. After his car parked in front of the school, he goes out into the street and recognizes the same Corvette next to which Vicky was standing on the side of the road that night. When they picked her up, the friends realize that Roy Miller is Vicky's husband. Having learned that Roy he's going fishing, he rushes to Vicky. He's dissatisfied with the fact that the girl didn't tell him anything about the fact that her husband is Todd's teacher. Vicky didn't attach any importance to this at all. The guy doesn't understand how she could marry Roy, because he's a tyrant. But according to the girl, he wasn't always so. Eyelid says that he improved to leave, but the guy starts kissing the girl. At this time Roy is already returning from fishing. Having heard a noise in the garage, he decides to check what is happening there. Approaching the garage, Roy shouts to Vicky. Having heard his voice, he hides among the sculptures and Vicky pretends to be sawing something out with an angle grinder. While Roy is cleaning the fish, he hides in another place at the exit from the garage. Roy asks Vicky for a printer. There is a capable student in his class. Todd and Roy wanted to print a recommendation for him to enter Harvard. Vicky promises to find a printer when Roy leaves. He calmly leaves the garage at school. Someone approaches Roy. Roy shows the boys his school notebook, which he found in the garage. Vicky, did he really think that he wouldn't find out about anything? The book is in a panic, thinking that Roy knows about him and Vicky, and says that he made a terrible mistake. Why? Miller, showing the results of the test, says that in fact there are only 2 of them. Having found the notebook, Roy realized that he was studying mathematics with his wife. Vicky. Miller promises to write a recommendation for Todd for admission to the university. After which, he shakes the guy's hand in a mathematics lesson. Roy sets Todd an example for other students, justifying his cruelty in relation to young guys. Give exactly this kind of attitude towards them that will force them to study better after blood lessons. The one who considers the cruelty of swarms to students to be unreasonable. People don't deserve such an attitude at all. That's what Roy's wife, Vicky, told him. He heads to the exit on the mile and stops him with the question whether he was sleeping. He and Vicky could not restrain themselves. She confesses everything. Jumping his car, Roy rushes home and he tries to warn Vicky, but the girl is busy and doesn't hear the phone ringing. Having arrived, Roy begins to destroy everything in the garage, and at the same moment that hero appears, thinks the guy is thanks to Vicky. He stretched out in mathematics, then slept with her having insisted, and then he also wrote Todd a recommendation for admission to Harvard. Distracting the guy, Roy knocks Todd out. The guy comes to his senses and asks Vicky for forgiveness for what happened, but the girl is even grateful to him, because she should have broken up with Roy a long time ago. When Todd asked what she was going to do, then Vicky says that she will go to New York. Perhaps something will work out there with her sculptures. The girl sees the guy off, and finally gives him a recommendation for the university. Today there is an interview for which the guy fails, promising to visit Vicky in New York. At the interview they ask something. Why does he want to go to Harvard? According to the boy, this is his father's dream, since it is a better university, but he himself thinks that this is not at all what he needs. After returning home, he admits to his parents that he does not want to go to Harvard. His dream is an art school. He goes a diner, where they constantly gather with friends called Kirsten for a walk. He asks for forgiveness for the pain he caused the girl, but begs her to never cross him off the list of friends. After a while, the Trinity sits on the pier. I discuss who they will be in 10 years. According to Todd, it turned out 10 years will work over his supercomputer, and Kirsten will release her first collection of popular poetry. The same one, according to Gender, will shout out, "Free cash register at McDonald's." This is where the film ends. Thank you for watching and see you on the channel.